Brothers and sisters, this is kind of a follow-up video to my previous video of how to schedule an online appointment for the temple. This will be less about how to do that process and more kind of answering questions and concerns that I've seen pop up while personally scheduling and while being an ordinance worker at the temple. So you go to churchofjesuschrist.org and log in with your account, and then you go to serve and go to temples. Now, if you do not have a church account, or if the person you are working with does not have a church account, it's a very easy solution. Once again, you come to churchofjesuschrist.org. You just go to sign in, and then at the bottom, if it says, says need an account or don't already have an account, you create a new account. All that you need is your date of birth and your church record number. And if you're trying to go to the temple, you're in luck, because it means you'll have a temple recommend, and that record number is on your recommend. So that's easy. So you can sign up for a church account. This, frankly, is a great opportunity to help everyone in the state get a church account. There's still a lot of people in the church, especially in our state, that do not have church accounts. And it's helpful to have, the information on a church account current, because that's how we're starting to communicate with each other more and more. You have options, availability to a lot of options by having a church account. So we really want to encourage everybody to have a church account. Helping people set up schedules for the temple is a great kind of excuse to help people to get church accounts. So once you have a church account, you'll log in. You go to churchofjesuschrist.org. You'll sign in, go to serve, go to temples, and then on this temple page, in the upper right-hand corner, attending the temple, the drop-down menu has appointments, and below that it has prayer roll. Now, I'm not sure if everyone is aware of this, but you can now click on prayer roll, and you can submit a name to be added to the prayer roll of the temple. That's a fairly new addition that I don't think a lot of the members are aware of. It's very convenient and it's nice, so everybody should be aware of that. But again, if I go attending the temple appointments, this brings me to my appointment page, and it'll tell me any appointments that I currently have available. I currently have a baptism scheduled. That'll be important in a minute. I can also select whatever temple I want to go to. My default temple is the Las Vegas, Nevada temple. Up until currently, during COVID restrictions, that's the only temple I could attend. We could only attend temples within our assigned district. People outside of our district couldn't come to the Las Vegas, Nevada temple. That has changed now. People can come to our temple. We can schedule for temples outside of our district that are open and available. You just select a different temple, and it'll give you a drop-down menu, and you can choose the temple you want to go to and see what kind of availability they have. But since I'm going to the Nevada temple, I'm going to click select this temple. I have 4 options: baptism, initiatory, endowment, and proxy sealing. All these ordinances are available. You'll find that baptisms are kind of more regularly scheduled. They're harder to get into. Initiatory, endowment, and sealing have become really easy, quite frankly, to find a time to get to the temple. We start with baptisms. This is pretty straightforward. I'm not going to go through this too much. Other than when I go to the temple with my boys, this asks for like number of males to assist and number of endowed males to help with confirmations. I just put 1 and 1, and that's me. I'm both the baptizer and the endowed male helping with the confirmations, and that's fine. There's not a problem with that at the temple. Then when you go down and select the date, again, as I mentioned, there's not as many dates available for baptism, but what you will find is that times open up. Sometimes people have to cancel their appointments. Something else comes up, and appointments actually become available quite often on the website. So if you logged on a month ago or 2 weeks ago or even yesterday and said, hey, there's no appointments for the next 2 months, please don't wait 2 months to get back online. Get on tomorrow, get on the next day, especially weekdays. Things become available. And so if you look and continue to look, you will find a time to get to the temple. It may not always be the perfect time for you, but again, times open up. Please let people know Just because they looked yesterday and there was no appointments for a month doesn't mean they have to wait a month to find an appointment. Now, back to what I mentioned earlier, because I already have an appointment scheduled, if I try to schedule on, let's say, Wednesday the 8th at the open time 9 a.m., it's going to give me a warning code, an error code saying I can't schedule because I already have an appointment. So although I cannot schedule 2 baptismal appointments, I can schedule still an initiatory, an endowment, or a sealing because I haven't got those scheduled yet. So if I go to schedule a proxy endowment, there's this little box here, add spouse to appointment. If you want to bring your spouse, you want to click this box. It's kind of easy to miss. So it's in step 2. If you miss it, you can't add your spouse. And your spouse is going to have to go online and register for him or herself. This only adds a spouse. So you can't click this and bring a friend, a father, a neighbor, a brother. This is only your spouse. It actually takes your spouse's name and adds it to the list of appointments. So be aware of that. Again, if you want to schedule as a group, each person has to go on and schedule via their church account. And again, the only people who can add is a spouse. A nice little thing, a loophole here, is you can add a spouse and a spouse can schedule and add you. So whereas the other ordinances, you can only go one time until you either delete that appointment and create a new appointment, or until you have fulfilled that appointment. So if my appointment is tonight at 7 o'clock, I can't schedule another appointment until I get out of the temple tonight. After that time has passed, then I go online and schedule another appointment. However, if I schedule an appointment for tonight at 7 and my wife schedules an appointment tomorrow at 3 and we both add a spouse, I can get in both times. So there's a fun little loophole to let people know about. So just make sure you click add a spouse to the appointment and realize that adding a spouse only adds your spouse. See how quickly that time filled up? This was available, now it filled up. Another thing is if I want to go with the group, because we all have to schedule individually, I'm going to look for a time that has a lot of seats available. So if you notice, each session tells you if it's available or if it's full and how many seats are available. Some have, again, 25 seats, some have 30 seats, some have, 2 seats. So obviously, if you got a bunch of people trying to get one session, you're going to want to pick one with a lot of seats available. And again, you will notice all these are dark blue, meaning they all have times available each day for proxy endowment. You'll find sealings that are the same. When you get to the sealings, just have to tell how many people you want to be, how many males, how many females, and you notice there's every single day, every single session is available. So we need people in the temple to do endowments, but even more so, I would say, maybe not more so, but there's more availability to do sealings and initiatories. And I think still within the church there are a lot of there's a misunderstanding or a lack of understanding that we can go to the temple and do those other ordinances, initiatories and sealings. And so please encourage your members to make those appointments and to do those things as well, because they're super important and they're great ordinances to partake in. Okay, I think last thing I wanted to cover is this proxy baptism. So when you schedule an appointment in the baptistry, you get an hour time frame. So, and it's always on the hour. So if I schedule at 5 o'clock, I have between 5 and 6, and that's your time. So if you I just go with my 2 sons, and we bring as many family file names as we can. And we've found that generally they work with us and they let us do more than just 4 or 5 names. If you do not bring family file names, you have temple file names you're using, you're limited to 4 or 5 names. And so again, I'm not guaranteeing that when you go to the temple with a bunch of names, they'll let you do it, but generally you have an entire hour set apart for you. You're not waiting on another group. You're not going to push another group. That hour is your hour. And so they've been pretty good with us, at least on being flexible with the amount of names that we can do, as long as it's within that time frame. I've kind of rambled quite a bit, but I think I've covered everything I wanted to cover. Thank you for listening and putting up with me here. If you have any questions, if you want training within your units, I'm happy to come and train or answer any questions. Please feel free to give me a call or shoot me an email if there's anything I can do for you. Thank you for your service, and